This guy has averaged 23.8 or more PPR fantasy points 4 times in his career, 4 full seasons in his career, or at least 16 games. And I remind you, in 2022, Christian McCaffrey had 381 touches. He played 3 postseason games. They probably went to the Super Bowl that year. It was a long run. Maybe it was an NFC Championship game. And he came back the next year, played 16 games, and averaged 24.7 points per game. So, no, he didn't have 400 touches, but he had 381. I'm trying to convince myself that I'm not crazy. Who would
you're not crazy. Look, he's amazing. We all want him to be amazing. We all want him to be the same guy that he was last year and the same guy that he's been every year of his career when he's been healthy. However, 2 times he's been over 400 total touches, and 2 times he has failed to play a full season the next year. So it's tough to say it's safe. And you reference what year?
2022. No, 2022, 381 touches, including.
No, I don't think that's right. I think it's 2023.
No, it's 2022. Oh, okay. Maybe it's 23. It was the year he got traded to the Niners.
I see. 2022.
Okay.
2022 was his first full year with San Francisco. 2024, he missed time.
Yeah, so 2022, 381 touches.
He did not go to the Super Bowl. That was the year where Purdy got hurt in the playoffs. They lost to Philadelphia.
Okay, lost in the NFC Championship game. 3 postseason games, though. And then he played a full season, basically, and he averaged over 24 points per game the year after. But he didn't hit 400 touches. I get it.
Yeah,
3 years ago.
He's 30 now.
Young. 37.
Whatever this mysterious absence was.
All part of the plan, Jamie. You're not paying
all part
attention.
of the plan that his coach either lied about or he wasn't forthcoming about, or just, hey, I'm good. Look, listen. Nobody wants to be more wrong than me. I want to be wrong on this. It's the same thing I said about Barkley last year. I want to be wrong on this. I want him to be awesome. I have McCaffrey in my longest running dynasty league. I have McCaffrey in a league that I drafted the other day because he fell to 11 and it was too hard to pass up at that point. So I think if you're comfortable drafting him, you've been the only person that I've seen in drafts that I've done that has taken him 5th overall. I thought Mike Florio said it best on our stream last night. He wants other people to take him. I feel the same way. I want somebody else to take him, and I want them to be rewarded by doing so. But at the same time, like, I'm drafting a lot of Kalen Black. I want to see who's going to be the number 2 running back there because we've been down this path before. So I'm nervous. That's the only way I could frame it, is I'm nervous about McCaffrey staying healthy for a full season.
Let me tack on one other thing, Adam.
Yeah, all right.
Look at what the Niners did this offseason. They brought in Mike Evans. They brought back Deebo Samuel. They drafted Dejon Stribling. He's going to be a thing. George Kittle's healthy. They are not going to be, or at least they don't want to be, as reliant through the air on McCaffrey as they were last year. 7.1 targets per game for McCaffrey was a high. That's the highest average he had since he went to San Francisco. It's the second highest of his career. It's the highest he's had in San Francisco by 1.7 targets per game. So if we knock that down, and it makes sense to knock that down, given everybody that they've added in San Francisco, that's fewer catches. That lowers the PPR threshold. That lowers what the upside is. And I think the addition of Kalen Black and Jordan James getting healthy, I think they're there to take some of those lesser important carries off of McCaffrey. And that just opens the door for him having just a little bit less. And I talked about it on the Draftathon. I think there is a world where he averages somewhere between 16 and 18 PPR points per game and make that look like 12 to 14 non-PPR points per game, something in that range, where he's still worth a first-round pick, but not a top 6 pick. And there's obvious downside. We've talked about it. Jamie just talked about it. It's real, and it makes me nervous to take him anywhere close to where you're taking him, Adam.
That's fine. I understand. I'm looking at 8 different FFT open leagues. I'm going to tell you, he went 11th. He went 11th, 7th, 6th, 8th, 4th. I saw him go 3rd in one league, 7th in this league, 8th in this league. I may have repeated one, 5th in this league. So he's all over the place. Next up, risky player, Puka Nacua. Maybe suspended, still hasn't practiced. He's got a groin injury for Puka, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Would you rather have Puka Nacua or Jackson Smith-Njigba?
Today it's Puka. But we're getting closer to that point where if he's not back at practice soon, you've got to imagine that this injury could limit him a little bit early on in the year, and maybe it lingers on, and you might feel better taking JSN.
Jamie, Puka or JSN?
It would be St. Brown for me if I have to choose another receiver, but it would probably be both if I'm going to move Puka down. So I think just looking at it that his ceiling is wide receiver 1. We saw that last year. His floor is probably wide receiver 10, I think at minimum, as long as he's healthy. So hopefully there's, reason to buy into him still being that guy. And as of now, I agree with Dave. I'm not moving him down.
Yeah, it's just the only 2 players who averaged more than 22 points per game last year, other than quarterbacks, were Puka Nacua and Christian McCaffrey. And it's a shame when we have questions about both of them going in. I want to show a graphic here because we got an great email from Bob. It said, is anyone slightly concerned with Puka's 2026 volume given how stout the Rams defense is projected to be? Doesn't it seem more likely for JSN to finish with more points? So I did some numbers here. I want you to look. This is Puka Nacua. Now, he usually has, every year of his career, has had 10 to 12 carries. What I did was...
Carries.
Carries. Okay. So I just used his receiving stats. Didn't put any carries in there at all. Fantasy points per game last year, just on receiving stats for Puka Nacua, was 22.5. The Rams ranked fifth. They ranked 5th in pass attempts. The rest of this is hypotheticals. Sorry, it says 2023 and 2024 and the fantasy points per game. That's actually my mistake. That's not what those numbers are. So you can ignore that if you're looking at the graphic. These numbers are, let's just say the Rams were 16th in pass attempts last year. How many points would Puka have averaged based on his yards per catch, yards per target, catch rate, touchdown rate over the last 2 seasons, and his target share? If they had been 16th in pass attempts per game, Puka would have averaged 20.1 points per game on 167 targets last year. If they had been 28th, I think worst case scenario, 5th fewest pass attempts in the NFL, he would have averaged 17.4 fantasy points per game. And that's bad. That's bad for a guy who's going in the top 5. That's like a second round pick or maybe a 1-2 turn kind of player. But that's if the Rams had been 28th in pass attempts. I don't see that happening. They're usually middle of the pack in pass attempts. Last year, they were 5th. They're usually middle of the pack in pass rate. So I think maybe you look at if they had been 16th in pass attempts, he still would have had 167 targets. He's had a 30% target share when he's been on the field each of the last 2 seasons. And he played 3 games last year, 3 healthy games where the Rams allowed less than 14 points. And he had 8, 11, and 11 targets in those 3 games. Hope that helps a little bit. Next risky player is Ashton Jeanty. Been seeing him a lot in the middle of round 2, sometimes all the way to the middle of round 3. Would you rather have Ashton Jeanty or Devontae Smith?
Still Jeanty right now, but that's close. They're almost back-to-back for me.
Almost back-to-back for me, too. I've got Smith 2 spots higher.
Josh Jacobs. There was a note yesterday. It was a little almost alarmist that they talked about the Jacobs suspension in a press conference. They said they have plans in place in case Josh Jacobs gets suspended, but they didn't say they expected it or anything like that. This was the GM for the Packers. Would you rather have Josh Jacobs or a preseason riser, Travis Achan?
Jacobs.
Still Jacobs for now.
Okay. Still close. Jamie, you see the breaking news?
On Alec Pierce, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, he's off the PUP list. That's great.
That's really good.
Okay. And Josh Downs has a calf injury. We're going to talk about him soon. All right, so Jacobs, you're taking him ahead of Achan. How about Jacobs or Kyren Williams?
Trev. You said Achan, and immediately my mind went to Devon Achan.
Devon?
I would rather have Devon Achan than Josh Jacobs. Who did you ask now? Which Williams?
Kyren. I'd rather have Jacobs than Kyren Williams. Yes.
I'd rather have Jacobs than Kyren and Javonte Williams.
Is Jacobs top 30 player for you?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Where is he, Dave?
26th.
All right. He was RB9 last year, and he was even better than that before he kind of played the last few games of the year injured. Yeah. And he had 3 games where he played fewer than 40% of the snaps. Take away those 3 games, his healthy games, Josh Jacobs averaged 19 PPR fantasy points per game. I mean, that is a first-round player. So it's very appealing. But, he hasn't been practicing. I think is he back? He just got back, right? To practice.
I don't know if he's gone through any full team drills yet, but he has been back at practice.
I think he has.
He did. I think he just did 11 on 11 for the first time this week in a long time, Josh Jacobs.
Which is fine, especially for running backs. Like, you don't want them getting all beat up during camp and Let them take it easy. As long as they're practicing in full, week and a half, 2 weeks before the start of the season, we're good.
All right. Next up, Jeremiyah Love or T. Higgins? Jeremiyah Love being one of those risky players. T. Higgins probably one of the safer players.
Higgins for me.
T.
I think it's getting kind of crazy with Jeremiyah Love. I mean, he's a 4th round pick in a lot of leagues right now. And why? Why such a downgrade? That's like a full round. And he could be back for week 1.
Where would you draft RB16?
Round 3.
Mid to late round 3.
Mid to late round 3.
Exactly where I have Love.
That's what Jeanty was last season.
And there was an email, I can't remember who it was, but it was one of the best emails we got all year, I think, for me anyway. Said we had Jeanty, we had Love ranked somewhere around 13, 14, before his high ankle sprain. And he said Jeanty was RB 15 or 16 last year per game. That's the worst outcome that we've seen from any running back drafted in the top 10, over the last 10 years or so. Zeke, Fournette, even McCaffrey in full PPR. McCaffrey didn't have a great rookie season. He just caught a ton of passes. McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson. Anyway, like it seems like we were drafting Love at his floor before the ankle injury. Now he's going around later. Am I not?
Now he has an ankle injury.
Yeah, he does.
Why?
But it was a preseason one. All right. I get it.
I mean, look, it's a good sign that he was back at practice yesterday, doing some rehab stuff visibly, so people can see, that he's moving around. I think the concern comes in that he's injured on a bad team with a rough schedule with competition in his backfield of one specific scenario that hurts his upside, and that's the touchdowns. Because if Tyler Algier does what Tyler Algier is capable of doing and probably the role that he's going to play, that's where Jeremiyah Love's going to lose. Look, he looked awesome in that game against the Raiders before he got hurt. He has the ability to be awesome. Again, I don't think this is someone that you necessarily run away from, but what has changed on top of his ankle injury is Travis Etienne's competition is also hurt. And so I would rather take the chance on him over Jeremiyah Love, just given the circumstances. DeAndre Swift's competition is hurt. I'd rather take the chance on Swift over Love. That's just 2 players that I dropped him behind. He was already in that mix, which I think a lot of people were struggling with, of Josh Jacobs and Kyron Williams and maybe Javonte Williams. And so that whole jumbled group that starts round 3 and goes into round 4, there's pros and cons for all of them. And so who's healthy, who's not is a big factor. And I think right now, Jeremiyah Love, factoring in everything, is a little bit risky, which is why you bring him up.
Yeah, no, he is for sure. And he's going, I just have 8 random FFT open leagues pulled up. He's going similarly to Colston Loveland. Who would you guys rather have, Loveland or Love?
Love.
Oh, a Loveland for Jamie and a Love for Dave. Move on to Emeka Egbuka here, but I forgot to have played the worst soundbite thing ever when we were talking
I thought you did that on purpose.
There we go. Emeka Egbuka or Garrett Wilson? Who do you like better now?
Garrett Wilson.
G-dub.
What a shame.
It is.
Yeah. Wilson Egbuka or Tedero McMillan?
They're back to back, and I've got Ted a spot higher.
I think the thing about the players you keep bringing up is if you're into drafting them, you're going to get them at great value now.
I know.
Think about this. Luther Burden comes back to practice yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all love Luther Burden before he got hurt. The entire industry loved Luther Burden before he got hurt. And now you got him in round 5, potentially.
Well, would you rather have Egbuka or Burden?
I still have Egbuka ranked 1 spot ahead of him, but if Egbuka remains out through the weekend and into the early part of next week, I'll move Burden ahead.
I have Egbuka higher, considerably.
Mike Evans, who plans to play week 1, even though he has a groin injury, according to Jeremy Fowler, or Christian Watson?
Watson.
Double checking my rankings, I have Watson higher.
Yeah, we had Adam Ronis on yesterday during the draft-a-thon. He's from Fantasy Life, and he's got an FFT open league, and he's a terrific analyst. And I asked him for some breakouts. He mentioned Christian Watson. And it's just, I want to, it's been a while since we've really broken down these players, but I want to remind everybody, Christian Watson is a yards per target standout. He has been second in yards per target 2 straight seasons behind Alec Pierce both times. High ADOT guys usually are great at that, but he was also starting to get a lower ADOT. Like came back first 3 games last year at a 26-yard ADOT from weeks 11 through 18, 15.5-yard ADOT, which is high, but it's not that high for Christian Watson, and a 23.5% target share, 28.3% target per route run rate from weeks 11 through 18 or 17. I can't remember. For Christian Watson, exciting stuff, but no Tucker Kraft during that stretch. Didn't really have a healthy Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, But okay, you guys are taking Christian Watson over Mike Evans. That was just
Are you yet?
I think Christian Watson is such a good player, but I do worry about the targets.
Yeah, I worry about the volatility.
I'm still taking Evans reluctantly.
I'm worried about his volatility too. I mean, we're talking about 2 players that have some injury concerns, but at least one of them is a little bit younger and isn't hurt now, and that's Watson. And I feel better taking the chance on Watson, seeing an uptick in targets. He averaged 5.5 last year. If we're thinning the receiving core in Green Bay with no more Dobbs and no more Wicks, then maybe he can get to 6.3 targets per game, and that can bump up his PPR points per game to maybe closer to 14. I think it's going to be a roller coaster, though. I've looked at so many metrics with him, and there's just it's less than 50% of the time. Less than 50% of the time he was good when he had a 70% plus route rate over the past 2 years.
Christian Watson?
This is Christian Watson. 8
Right.
games, including the postseason, where he had 70% of the routes run last year, 18 plus PPR in 3 of them, 12.6 or fewer in the other 5. He's a good enough to be a low end number 2 wide receiver. Not worth reaching for, but there's that point in the draft. You get to late round 5, early round 6, and you look at what's left and you might get a little nervous. At least you're taking a guy who does profile as the number 1 wide receiver on what should honestly be a good Green Bay offense. And maybe that defense isn't as good, and it forces a lot of pass-heavy game scripts.
You have a lot of guys in that range that are very similar profile. You have Jamison Williams, you have Marvin Harrison, you have Mike Evans, Christian Watson. Like, they're, for the most part, volatile players, somewhat touchdown dependent, may or may not lead their team in targets. Brian Thomas Jr., all these type of guys. So, the pivots, if you need a receiver in that range, I've moved Chris Godwin into the top 30. I think he's, worth taking in this range at this point, late round 5, early round 6.
Sure.
Parker Washington, another one, that has that type of upside as well. So, if you just don't want to deal with the inconsistencies, but targeting guys that are going to get more targets, you can move to a couple of different wide receivers there.
Okay. Let's go on to, by the way, the Packers have been 30th and 27th in pass attempts the last 2 years. Just get me closer to 20. And then, we won't have to worry so much about the target crunch. Let's go to the last one that I have here on this risky players list. We've liked Josh Downs all offseason. Would you rather have Josh Downs, who's now dealing with what's being called a minor calf injury, or Dejon Stribling?
I'll take Downs.
Downs for Dave, Stribling for Jamie. Okay. We didn't get a ton of consensus on this one. We did with Egbuka versus Garrett Wilson. We did... Oh, is that with
T. Higgins and Love?
And Love? Yeah. Yep. What about Jeanty or Devontae Smith? I forgot. What did you guys say there?
I said Smith.
I said Jeanty for now.
Okay.